Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. If you've ever found yourself daydreaming about, trading the daily grind for sun-drenched beaches, maybe some historic charm, or just a significantly different pace of life, well, Portugal has probably popped into your head.
Oh, definitely. It has this undeniable pull.
Right. A fantastic climate, rich culture, and a quality of life that just seems to whisper to digital nomads, investors, retirees, pretty much everyone.
It really does.
But here's the big question, the one that often brings people up short.
Mm.
What does it really take to make that move?
It's a wonderful dream, absolutely. And for so many, Portugal truly is the perfect spot. Yet, the pathway to turning that dream into, well, a tangible reality can often feel like navigating a dense, ever-changing forest of paperwork and regulations.
Yeah. And that's the challenge we're tackling today. Our mission is to cut through that complexity. We're taking a deep dive into the Comprehensive Guide to Portugal Visa Types 2025 edition.
Lots to unpack there.
Exactly. Our goal is to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge, give you a real shortcut to being well-informed without the usual information overload, and hopefully uncover a few surprising facts along the way. Ready to unravel the current state of Portuguese visas? Let's do it. Let's unpack this.
So Portugal's appeal, it really is enduring. It consistently ranks as a top destination for expatriates, digital nomads, investors, retirees. People are drawn by everything from the vibrant cities to the serene countryside, its location on Europe's western edge.
And while that allure is strong, the core challenge for anyone looking to make the move truly boils down to understanding and navigating their visa system, especially, as you said, with some pretty significant shifts in the immigration landscape that have just unfolded.
Those changes are absolutely crucial for anyone considering this move right now. One of the biggest transformations happened back in October 2023 with the dissolution of CEF, the Serviço de Estrangeiros e Fronteiras.
CEF, yeah. Heard that name a lot.
Right. Well, it was replaced by a brand new agency called AIMA, the Agência para Integração, Migrações e Asilo.
AIMA, okay. So AIMA is now the central authority for all things immigration, like visa processing, residence permit applications, renewals.
Yeah.
Is that right? How broad is their mandate?
AIMA's mandate is comprehensive. They now handle all administrative matters related to immigration, effectively centralizing the entire process. And the Portuguese government seems very committed to AIMA's success.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they've allocated $5.97 million in the 2025 budget specifically to help AIMA clear all pending golden visa application cases by June 30, 2025.
Well, okay, all of them by mid-2025.
That's the goal. This isn't just about clearing a backlog. It signals a clear governmental focus on streamlining and making the system, more efficient, especially for those high-impact investments.
That's a significant financial commitment.
Hmm.
And speaking of clearing backlogs, there's also been a really critical temporary measure put in place regarding document validity, hasn't there? This sounds like a lifesaver for anyone currently caught in the waiting game.
It genuinely is. Basically, all foreign nationals with visas or residence permits that expired since February 22, 2020 can legally remain in Portugal and even exit and re-enter with these expired documents.
Seriously. Even if they're expired.
Yes, they are accepted by all Portuguese public authorities until June 30th, 2025. And this applies to a wide range of documents, residence permits, EU national registration certificates, residence cards, various visa types.
So if your Portuguese residence permit expired, say, back in 2022, and you're still waiting for a renewal appointment, you're not suddenly an undocumented resident. That's a huge relief for people, surely.
That's absolutely correct. You're legally covered within Portugal until June 30th, 2025. However, and this is important, there's a really key nuance here that people need to grasp. This extension only applies within Portugal.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't magically allow you free travel within the wider Schengen area if your visa or permit has actually expired while you're waiting for your renewal.
Right. So if you planned on popping over to Spain or France.
Exactly. If you plan on visiting other European countries, your expired document won't grant you passage. You'd need a valid one for Schengen travel.
Got it. So stay within Portuguese borders if your document is technically expired and you're waiting. Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for those eyeing long-term residency and citizenship, and this is a game changer, apparently. There's been a truly significant update to the citizenship law.
This is perhaps one of the most beneficial changes we've seen for applicants in a while. The 5-year waiting period for Portuguese citizenship eligibility now begins from the moment you submit your online application and pay the associated state fee.
Not when the permit is actually approved.
Exactly. It no longer starts only when your residence permit is actually granted and physically in your hand.
That's massive, especially with the current processing delays people talk about. So if I apply for residency in, say, 2025, and it takes a whole year for that permit to be approved and issued,
Right.
I'm still eligible for citizenship in 2030, not 2031.
Right.
That shaves off a whole year in what can feel like an eternal wait.
Precisely. It acknowledges the time you've spent actively seeking residency and citizenship, which is a major advantage given the current realities of the system. It offers a significant psychological and practical advantage in long-term planning.
It signals that Portugal is trying to integrate people faster, maybe?
I think that's a fair interpretation, yeah.
Okay, let's pivot now to demystifying the actual visa categories, because finding your fit is the first crucial step, isn't it? Broadly, Portugal has 3 main categories. Could you walk us through those?
Certainly, we have short stay, temporary stay, and residence visas. Short stay or Schengen visas, those are for visits up to 90 days within any 180-day period. Think your typical tourist or business visas.
Simple enough. Then you have temporary stay visas, which are for stays less than a year but allow for multiple entries. I'm thinking like seasonal work or a shorter study program here.
Exactly. Seasonal work, study programs under 1 year, things like that. Good examples. And then we get to the residence visas, which are really the path to long-term stay.
Right, the D visas.
Yes. These are initially issued for 4 months, allowing 2 entries. But the crucial detail is that during that 4-month window, you absolutely must apply for a residency permit with AIMA once you're actually in Portugal.
It's not optional.
Not at all. It's the essential bridge to long-term legal status.
And within those residence visas, there's a whole alphabet soup of D visas that are key. Let's start with the D1 work visa. What kind of individual is that designed for?
The D1 is pretty straightforward. It's for those who already have a confirmed employment contract in Portugal that's for more than 1 year, so established employment.
Got it. And the D2, that's the entrepreneur or independent worker visa?
Correct. The D2 is for those looking to invest in a business or work independently, but be warned, simply opening a company doesn't guarantee approval.
Ah, okay. It's not just about having the funds.
Not at all. Portugal isn't just looking for capital, they're looking for genuine contribution to their economy and society. The economic and social relevance of your proposed investment or activity is key.
That makes perfect sense. No shell companies allowed, basically.
Yeah.
Then there's the D3, the highly qualified activity visa. I'm guessing that's for high-demand professions, perhaps in specific sectors.
You're spot on. It specifically targets professionals in high-demand fields. They prominently mention the IT and digital sectors who have employment contracts in Portugal. Highly skilled workers, essentially.
Okay. And D4, that's study.
D4 is your classic study visa, yes, but specifically for international students whose programs last more than 1 year. For shorter courses, you'd look at the temporary stay options.
Right. And the D7, the passive income or retirement visa, that one is hugely popular, isn't it? What's the core requirement there for someone looking to live off their existing assets?
It is very popular. The core requirement is proof of sufficient passive income to support yourself without needing to work in Portugal. So income from things like investments, pensions, financial applications, rentals.
Okay, passive income. And then we have the D8, the digital nomad visa, which I know has caused some confusion because there are 2 versions.
Yes, exactly. It has a couple of very distinct variations, and it's really important to understand the difference.
Yeah, this one is crucial because one offers a long-term path and the other doesn't, right? Can you clarify the 2 D8 types?
Absolutely. First, there's a temporary stay D8 visa. It's valid for 1 year, allows multiple entries, but, and this is the key part, it does not give you the right to apply for a residence permit. It's more of a short-term solution for remote workers wanting to spend up to a year there.
Okay, so like a working holiday almost.
Sort of, yeah. And then there's the residency D8 visa. This is the one for the long-term play. It's initially valid for 4 months, allows 2 entries, and requires you to apply for a residence permit once you're in Portugal, just like the other D visas.
Ah, so that's the one that leads to potential residency and citizenship down the line.
Exactly. The distinction is critical depending on your long-term goals.
Yeah.
And just for completeness, we should also mention the D5 for religious activities and the D6 for sports activities, though there may be less common.
So many options. But beyond those sort of standard D visas, Portugal also has some special programs that offer unique perks. The job seeker visa, for example, is a newer one that sounds incredibly practical.
It is very practical. This
Oh,
visa allows foreign citizens to travel to Portugal specifically to look for work. And crucially, it authorizes the holder to actually work until the visa expires or until they get a residence permit granted.
that's brilliant. It bridges that gap, doesn't it, between arriving and actually landing a job legally.
Exactly. It offers a legal pathway to seek work on the ground.
And then the legendary Golden Visa. It's been through some major changes, hasn't it? The big one being, as of 2025, you can't just buy real estate anymore to get it. That used to be the most common route, I think.
It absolutely was. And yes, that's a critical update. It completely redefines the Golden Visa program. Real estate investments no longer qualify.
So what's left?
The main remaining options are now cultural heritage donations, which start from $250,000 an hour, or investments into qualifying funds, which typically start from $500,000.
Quite a shift. From property to funds and donations.
It's a big shift. You could say it signals Portugal moving away from maybe passive real estate investment towards wanting more active, perhaps more impactful capital within its economy.
Interesting. Okay, there's also this startup visa for innovative entrepreneurs. That sounds like it has some high bars to clear. It requires approval from certified incubators and IAPMEI, that's the Portuguese Agency for Competitiveness and Innovation, right?
That's right, IAPMEI. And yes, the requirements are significant. The project must be genuinely innovative, it needs to create jobs for highly qualified specialists, and it has to show potential for hitting $325,000 in annual turnover or asset value within 5 years of the contract.
Ambitious.
Okay.
And a more recent development is the CPLP visa, approved in December 2024. This offers significant benefits for citizens of the community of Portuguese language countries.
Yes, the CPLP. That includes places like Angola, Brazil, Cape Verde, Guinea-Bissau, Mozambique, several others.
And what exactly are these significant benefits? How do they streamline the process for citizens from those countries?
Well, they've essentially eliminated several traditional hurdles for most visa types for CPLP citizens. Things like proving you have sufficient financial resources, presenting travel insurance, even the need for a physical appearance for the initial application. Those have been removed in many cases.
Wow. How does that work then for things like accommodation?
Instead, you can use something called a term of responsibility from a legal resident already in Portugal who basically vouches for your accommodation and sustenance. It's a huge simplification, clearly designed to foster closer ties within the CPLP.
That sounds like a massive step towards ease of access for Brazilians, Angolans, etc. But there's a catch, right? A nuance here, too.
There is, yes, an important one. These simplified facilities do not apply if a CPLP citizen is applying for the job seeker's visa.
Ah, okay, so for the job seeker visa, they still need to follow the standard procedure.
Pretty much. They still need to register with the Portuguese Institute for Employment and Vocational Training, just like any other non-EU job seeker using that specific visa type.
Right, got it. Okay, we've talked a lot about the different visa types. Now let's tackle the how, navigating the actual application process. It sounds like a multi-step journey once you've picked your visa.
It certainly is. There are broadly 6 main steps. First, obviously, determine the right visa type for you, which we've just spent some time discussing.
Step 1, check.
Step 2, gather all your required documents. This typically includes things like a valid passport, make sure it has at least 3 months of validity beyond your intended stay, then proof of accommodation, proof of sufficient financial means, and travel insurance with medical coverage.
Standard stuff, mostly. Then step 3 is submitting your application. Where does that usually happen?
Usually through a VFS Global Center or directly at the Portuguese consulates or embassies in your home country. And yes, I hear many applications now start with an online portal first, where you upload documents before an appointment.
Makes sense. What's step 4?
Step 4 is attending an in-person interview and biometric data collection that's usually fingerprints and a photo. Then, step 5 is the waiting game. You wait for processing. For a short-stay Schengen visa, it's typically maybe 2 weeks, but it can take up to 60 days in exceptional cases. For residence visas, getting that initial temporary 4-month visa approved in your home country can also take up to 60 days.
Right. And that leads us to the critical final step, step 6. Entering Portugal and then applying for your actual residence permit. This is really a 2-stage process, isn't it?
It absolutely is. First, you get the residency visa sticker in your passport from the consulate in your home country. Then, after you arrive in Portugal using that visa, you apply for the actual residence permit card.
And what does that second stage entail once you're actually in Portugal?
Right. So once you're in Portugal with your residency visa, you generally need to register with local authorities, attend your scheduled appointment with AIMA, which the Portuguese consulate typically books for you when they issue your visa.
Oh, they book it for you. That's handy.
Often, yes. At the AMN appointment, you might submit some additional documentation, provide biometrics again, and pay the residence permit fee.
And then you wait again.
A little bit. Generally, your residence card will be printed and sent to your Portuguese address in about 3 weeks, although the legal deadline for them to issue it is technically 90 days. So it's a structured path, but it definitely requires attention to detail once you're on the ground.
That's a clear roadmap. But like any journey, there are always insider tips and potential challenges, right? One big one for anyone moving is getting your NIF and a bank account. It almost feels like a rite of passage for new residents.
It truly is. The NIF Número de Identificación Fiscal is your tax identification number. It's essential. For non-residents just starting the process, you'll typically need to appoint a fiscal representative, someone based in Portugal, to apply for your NIF on your behalf.
A fiscal representative. Okay.
Yes, but once you have that NIF, that unique 9-digit number, you can then open a Portuguese bank account, and often you can even do that remotely before you arrive. It's really the key to almost all financial and administrative interactions in Portugal.
Good tip. And there's something called a mandatory declaration of entry for certain travelers, isn't there? This sounds like something easy to miss.
It is, and missing it can result in a fine, so it's worth knowing. If you enter Portugal through a border that isn't subject to immigration control, for example, if you drive in from Spain, or arrive from another Schengen country by land, or maybe a private flight.
Right, no passport stamp.
Exactly. You must fill out a declaration of entry form on the AIMA portal within 3 working days of arriving. Failure to do so can result in a fine somewhere between 60 and 160 euros.
Good to know. Okay, that 5-year countdown for citizenship, it's such a critical detail. Let's just double-click on that again to make sure we truly grasp its impact. Can you walk us through a specific scenario where this makes a huge difference for someone's long-term planning?
Certainly. This change really means applicants can now plan their path to citizenship with far greater certainty. So, let's say you submit your residency application in January 2025. Even if, because of backlogs, it takes a full year until January 2026 for that approval to come through and your permit card to actually be issued.
Okay.
You'll still be eligible to apply for citizenship in January 2030. That 5-year clock started ticking back when you submitted the application in 2025, not when you got the card in 2026. It counts that waiting time.
So you gain that whole year.
Exactly. It's a significant benefit that acknowledges the current processing times and rewards your commitment to the process right from the outset. Huge advantage.
And good news for many, Portugal allows dual citizenship, right? So you generally don't have to give up your original citizenship, provided your home country also allows it. That's a common concern for people, I imagine.
It is, and it's a huge advantage. It allows individuals to maintain ties to their home country while fully embracing Portuguese nationality. Now, speaking of challenges, a significant one that many applicants are currently facing is actually securing those AIMA appointments for the residence permit application once they arrive.
Ah, the bottlenecks.
Exactly. There's extremely high demand, limited appointment availability, and that backlog we mentioned reportedly around 400,000 cases. This is leading to significant delays, with some applicants waiting months just to get that initial appointment after arriving with their visa.
Yikes. That AIMA backlog sounds incredibly stressful.
Yeah.
What happens if your temporary 4-month visa expires while you're caught in this AIMA waiting game? Do you suddenly become illegal?
That's a very good question, and this ties back directly to that document validity extension we discussed earlier. The short answer is no. You won't become illegal in Portugal if your visa expires while waiting for an AIMA appointment.
Phew.
That government extension of document validity until June 30th, 2025 covers you in this situation. You remain legally in the country.
Okay, that's crucial reassurance.
It is. However, again, remember the caveat. This extension only applies within Portugal. You won't be able to travel freely within the Schengen area with an expired visa during this waiting period. You'd need to remain in Portugal until your actual permit is issued.
Okay, so you're safe within Portugal, but don't plan a European tour during the waiting. Got it. Let's look at the long game now. What are the pathways to permanent residency and full Portuguese citizenship? What does permanent residency offer?
Okay, so permanent residency generally requires 5 years of continuous temporary legal residence in Portugal. Once you achieve that, you gain the right to live, work, and study in Portugal indefinitely. You also get access to healthcare and social services on par with citizens, visa-free travel within the Schengen area, and of course, it makes you eligible to apply for citizenship.
Right. And for full Portuguese citizenship itself, what's the general eligibility and what are the key requirements? Beyond the 5 years of residency, what else is needed?
It's typically after those 5 years of legal residency. Key requirements usually include demonstrating a clean criminal record from Portugal and potentially your home country, maybe providing a health certificate, proving you've maintained your Portuguese residency, and importantly, demonstrating an A2 level of Portuguese language proficiency.
An A2 language level, that's something to actively plan for and work towards during those 5 years then.
Absolutely. It's a basic conversational level, but yes, it requires effort.
And the benefits of citizenship are pretty compelling, aren't they?
They certainly are. Portuguese citizens can live and work freely in any EU country, which is a huge draw. Plus, the Portuguese passport allows visa-free travel to around 172 countries, including places like the USA, Canada, the UK, and Australia.
Wow.
And that Portuguese identity card, the Cartão de Cidadão, it's fantastic. It's an all-in-one document that combines your civil ID, your taxpayer number, NIF, your health services number, and your social security number. It really simplifies life administratively.
That's some serious passport power and convenience. Are there any special cases or shortcuts to citizenship beyond the general 5-year residency rule?
Absolutely. There are a few routes where the process can be significantly faster. For instance, children and grandchildren of Portuguese nationals can often apply for citizenship directly, regardless of where they were born, without needing any prior residency period in Portugal.
Just based on ancestry.
Exactly. And another big one, foreign nationals who are married to or in a stable union with a Portuguese citizen can apply for citizenship after just 3 years of that marriage or union.
3 years, that's a pretty big shortcut compared to the usual 5 years of residency.
It is indeed a significant advantage for spouses.
This has been a whirlwind deep dive, really, filled with critical updates and incredibly practical advice.
Indeed. We've covered quite a bit the increased ease of access due to some recent changes, the wide variety of visa options tailored to different situations, and those clearer paths now to long-term residency and citizenship.
Yeah, it really seems important for anyone considering this move to understand that AIMA transition and especially those crucial document validity extensions right now.
Absolutely essential for navigating the current landscape.
So here's a thought to leave you with. As Portugal continues to adapt its immigration landscape, what does the future hold for digital nomads, for investors, for retirees, for anyone seeking new beginnings there? How might evolving global work trends continue to shape the country's welcoming policies, and, what might that mean for your own pursuit of international living? It's a fascinating question, isn't it?
It truly is a dynamic area, and while this deep dive hopefully provides a solid foundation, it's crucial to remember that immigration laws are constantly evolving. They can change.
Okay.
So our strongest recommendation really is always to consult with a qualified immigration specialist or a legal advisor for personalized guidance. Someone who knows your specific situation.
Definitely sound advice. And as always, we'll include links to official resources like AIMA's website and the Portuguese Ministry of Foreign Affairs in our show notes. They are invaluable for getting the absolute most current information.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We really hope it brings your Portuguese dreams maybe just a little closer to reality.